just get started with questions. A few things to let you guys know about. SEC injury report, similar to football, will be released the night before each game at 7 p.m. Then there'll be a game day update that'll be released by the conference office 2 hours prior to tip. So just letting you guys know the timing of that here as we get into the 18-game schedule. We'll start with questions with Paul for Coach.
Coach, obviously he kind of caught some people by surprise last year with Murray Bowles, the way he came on as a freshman, and looking at his play this year, he hadn't slowed down any. Just not so much to give away the scouting report, but how difficult is he to defend with the things he's able to do in the post?
He's a special player. Probably my favorite player in the league thus far. I haven't got to see everybody, obviously, this season, but he can do it all. I mean, he doesn't shoot the three. He's made, I think, a handful of them maybe on the year, but the way he impacts the game in every other facet of the game is pretty remarkable. He's got such a great feel. He's got soft hands. He's uber competitive. They can run offense through him. He's obviously unbelievable on the glass, and he's just got a great combination of size and skill and feel and IQ and competitive spirit. And he just, he's got to be their leader, I'd imagine, when things are hard for them. Everybody in the gym knows where it's going. And even, we do, and the opponent, the guys that have already played him do, but unfortunately, it's not that much you can do about it because he's a good passer as well. So they've got a lot of good players, but it definitely starts with him.
Go to Jacob to Coach's right, and then we'll go to the middle and Sam.
Coach, you have several players who have SEC experience already. I guess how valuable is having that experience and used to the grind of the SEC?
Well, like always, we're going to find out. I don't know yet. Hopefully it will be valuable, but, they do too. They've got some guys that transferred in from, or at least one from the SEC. So in addition to the returnees that they have, so both teams will have plenty of SEC experience. And, if you look at them like I have, I mean, they've won 8 in a row. They had a stinker out of the gate that I'm sure they'd want back, like 95% of college basketball teams want one back at this point. We're no different. And other than that, they got beat at Indiana and by Xavier, who's really, really good. So they're a well-coached team. They're very well versed. They play together. They're old school in terms of controlling tempo. It starts with their defense. They just don't give you anything. They make you work your tail off to get any good looks. And they're a really good basketball team.
Yeah, we've talked so much about how fantastic the SEC is this season, but just for the Mississippi State standpoint, what do you think is just going to be the key to coming out of this conference schedule and being one of the top teams in the SEC when it's over?
Yeah, your next game's the biggest game of the year. It's kind of been our mantra as a coaching staff for a long, long time, is that we treat every game like the Super Bowl, and our kids have to adopt that as well, because if you don't, you're for sure going to get beat. You might get beat anyway if you're super prepared and super focused and play pretty good. You could still get beat on any given night, home or road. But I think they all have to really try to get on board with that and get excited about being a part of the game plan and buying into that, not just the coaches presenting it and trying to get them to understand it, but really be locked in as a group, because these games, a lot of them are going to come down to the last possession or two, and you're hoping that you can give your kids a chance by putting them in the right position, but it's just going to be the next game's the biggest game of the year.
Benjamin, then Paul to Coach's left.
We've talked a lot about guarding the ball and making sure you're stopping players at the point of attack. You look at some of the defensive stats among SEC teams, and your team doesn't rank where I'm sure you're used to compared to the last couple of years you were here. So what are going to be the keys as you go into this gauntlet of a schedule to maintain that intensity and play well on that end of the floor?
Yeah, you're spot on. We're not as efficient in a lot of categories that we've been accustomed to being efficient in. not just here, but in prior stops. And like I said, I knew we wouldn't be as good defensively. Like I said that to anyone that would listen to me. I don't think people believe me, but I could see it in the summer and the fall that it wasn't in the cards. And, you know, if a fan's out there saying, "Darn, coach, like, get him to play defense," right? Well, we're not built quite the same. But offensively, the trade-off is we're much better. You know, if you look at our offensive numbers, they're way more efficient. So, you know, number one was me being okay, you know, with the trade-off, which I don't know if I'm okay with it, but it's just reality at this point. So, in order to win games, though, we're going to have to get better as the SEC unfolds. I'm not counting on it, but at the same time, you know, in our biggest games, we've had our best performances on that end of the court. I hate, you know, being a team that rises and falls to, you know, to old school level of your competition. But if that is the case, then that will bode well for us because there's all going to be rising to the level with the gauntlets that ahead of us. But there's no question about it. If we want to be successful over the long haul, you know, we got to have to tighten up our defense for sure.
Paul for two, and then we'll go to Sam.
You singled out Claudel last game and talked about him fitting the role and doing a lot of little things and meeting your expectations. Just the way he is as a team player, is that something you saw? Is that something that jumped off the page when you were recruiting him in the transfer portal?
Not really. Saw him more of a scorer. Didn't see him being what you described. And that's why I said what I said after the game of how excited I am for him and for us because he's rounding into form for this year's team, for him to impact it in a bunch of different areas rather than just how many points he scores each game. He's probably ranks in the top 2 or 3 of talking on defense for us every day, and that's invaluable for our team. And the growth of the other night of not taking a field goal attempt in the first half and then having patience but still impacting the game on the defensive end or just the hockey assist and then waiting and then being rewarded, you know, getting more open looks in the second half. And sometimes when people use the term role player, like I feel like there's almost a negative connotation with it. Like, you know, he's not a great player. He's a role player. I mean, that's not true at all. I mean, coaches know that. Sometimes others around the industry don't understand that. But, you know, everyone has a role. I mean, if your role is to be the leading scorer, I mean, you're the leading scorer. It doesn't mean you're the best player. It means you're the leading scorer for that particular team. But I think all of us at times, you know, say, oh, you got to play a role for this team. You know, I don't really talk about, you know, role playing with our guys at all, to be honest with you. We don't talk about it because I don't look at it that way, man. Like, you know, if you want to play more minutes, you know, here's what you need to focus on, you know, and things of that nature. And so when people put Claudel or anyone in a role player deal, it makes me cringe at times because he's having a great year for us, and I think he's going to have a better year as we go down the stretch of SEC play.
Obviously, defending the home court is always crucial regardless of the year. Being the SEC what it is this year, they take on even a higher level this year of having to defend the home court, knowing how tough the road will be.
I'm just worried about Saturday, man. I'm all in on South Carolina. Certainly, I know the first 5 or 6 games, who we play and where, but don't give that much thought. Certainly, protecting your home court will be talked about by every team in America that's starting league play, opening at home. Will be no different probably, but it's a marathon, man. I mean, this league's going to be a gauntlet. Everybody's talking about it, but I think we're all in on South Carolina.
And just talking about South Carolina, you talked about Murray Boyles, but just what's the rest of the team kind of look like, or just South Carolina in general against you guys?
Like I said earlier, I mean, I got a lot of respect for Coach Paris and what he's done over there, and they play the right way. They got some old school to them. They know who they are. comfortable in their own skin as a program, as a team. They've got other good players, like you mentioned. I mean, they got guys that have been around. Wright and Stude have been here. They got guys that can shoot the ball. The guys that shoot the best percentage from three shoot the most from three. You know, and that's what you want. You know, it's the guys that shoot the best percentage to shoot the most shots. That way, they're terrific at winning the free throw line. I mean, if you look at their numbers, I think they're 7th in the country at the 4 factors, the free throw attempt, field goal attempt situation. So they know who they are, and they're hard to play against. They're just a team that you got to beat them. You know, they don't beat themselves, and you've got to take it to them because of how they play.
Time for a couple more. We'll go to Danny P. Second row left.
Coach, Cam obviously has been through the wars of the SEC for a long time, and we know how invaluable he is as a leader for this team. But how much more so now the SEC is starting, and is his foot 100%, or is it still giving him a little bit of trouble?
I wouldn't say he's 100%. You'd have to ask him. We still have modifications in practice for him, but I'd say he's better now than he was 3-4 weeks ago in terms of being able to be more involved and more reps in practice. But in terms of relying on him, and because he's been there, done that, I certainly hope so. You know, he's one of our main leaders, and he's who we want to be personality-wise on game day especially. And hopefully, he'll use his experience to share with the other players leading into it, and probably more importantly, when we have adversity, which we obviously will in some of these games coming up.
Sam, go ahead and wrap us up.
Just any updates on Kanye Clary for this game?
No update.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.